Hello, everyone. So yesterday we reviewed Scott Schaefer's interview with Brint Davy. During that interview, Brint made a lot of assertions, some that I think are more factual than others. And in one of those, he explained that he was going to be trying to sue Caleb Hammer for 4 counts of defamation. And during that time period, we actually were going through the Creepy Caleb snark subreddit for Caleb Hammer. For record, I am not a snarker. I am just reviewing it because it seems like a lot of motion that is happening around Caleb Hammer. And during that, I found an actual post from our main man, Brint, who made an indication or a post on the Creepy Caleb Hammer subreddit indicating that he's actually going to be suing Papa Gut, or he's going to be demanding a cease and desist, and if Papa Gut does not respond within, I believe, 48 hours, then he will be suing him. When we covered this yesterday on stream, it was kind of an aftermath as we just kind of found it in the middle of the stream, so I actually wanted to dedicate some time to actually go over this specifically and see what we can find in that regard. So let's get right into it. So on the Creepy Caleb Hammer subreddit, Brint Davy, this is Brint Davy's, this is his Reddit account. He's posted several times on this. It's come up before. Other commentators like Nicholas Diorio and I believe Papa Gut have actually found this Reddit account, and it appears consistent with Brint's behavior. So we're going to see what we can find here. So, served Caleb Hammer's collaborator, Papa Gut, cease and desist. From what I understand, Papa Gut and Caleb Hammer are pretty close, and Papa Gut is friendly with Caleb Hammer. And he actually did react to Scott Schaefer's interview with Brint Davy, and we're actually probably going to be watching that. I know in the previous stream I didn't want to, but because I don't like the idea of reacting to someone who's reacting, but I feel like this is actually becoming relevant now because of the fact there's an actual ongoing cease and desist, and there might be a lawsuit going on here. So we'll get into that. But served Caleb Hammer collaborator Papa Gut cease and desist. I wasn't able to find his real name, so I had to serve him via comment and via electronic service on Instagram and Facebook Messenger. So you had to serve him. Typically, if you're going to serve someone a cease and desist, you either get someone who's vetted by the courts through, I believe, U.S. mail with the green card, so then that way they can actually verify that they had been served and actually saw it. Or through some other legitimate option. I'm not a lawyer, but typically I work in an industry that has to do similar to serving, and that's typically what's done through on paper. Digital might be different, but he posted the full document of the cease and desist, so we're going to be going through that in depth specifically. We're going to be going over his Substack as well as his post clarifying the defamatory statements, as well as him refuting that. So if he doesn't respond, and I can't find his name, I will file a motion for expedited discovery with my complaint. Anonymous YouTubers need to learn a lesson that their broadcasts are subject to defamation law. So hold up, stop. So if you try to sue someone for defamation and they're not the original source of the defamation, it's going to be even harder to sue for defamation, because Papa Gut can say hypothetically everything Papa Gut was saying it was true or was false, and he was defaming Brint. I'm not saying he is, but say hypothetically, Brint would need to sue the person that Papa Gut is presumably quoting or stating he has these opinions from the original source. That's why you can't sue someone for defamation when they're not the original proponent of the claim. So, because they could just be like, well, I legitimately thought it was real, and since Brint is a public figure, you need to prove so many counts for defamation. I know at minimum you need to prove that Papa Gut knew what he was saying was false or had a blatant disregard for the truth. And then since Brint is also a public figure, Brint needs to prove that he was sufficiently damaged by Papa Gut's statements, which is extremely important because I don't think Brint can substantiate that based on what we're going to get into on his Substack and his Reddit post. So this is Brint Davy's cease and desist to Papa Gut on a public Google Drive. So I'm just opening this up. It's publicly available for people to see. If they wish to take a look at it, I'll put it in the chat. Put this off stream. Put this off stream. Put this off stream. Put this off stream. Okay. So, via electronic mail and public platform, date January 6th, 2026. This was yesterday. Today is January 7th, 2026. To the content creator known as, quote, Papa Gut, unquote. Brint Davy, from Brint Davy. Reply notice to cease and desist and demand for immediate retraction to Papa Gut. I am writing to formally demand that you immediately cease and desist from the further publication, distribution, and promotion of false and defamatory statements regarding me, Brint Davy, contained in your recent video report regarding the Caleb Hammer dispute. First problem is he's not saying a specific video. If Papa Gut has multiple videos, how does he know which one he's talking about that's specifically a defamatory statement? Your video contains several demonstrably false assertions presented as fact. These statements are defamatory per se, as they falsely accuse me of criminal conduct and professional dishonesty, causing significant and ongoing harm to my reputation. They may be, but you're not a public figure, or you are a public figure. You are not a private figure. False allegations. So yes, you should, even if a statement is false and you're a public figure, you should still retract them, but the demand for action is going to be raising an eyebrow. Specifically, the following claims are categorically false. False allegations of serious threats. You claimed that I threatened to kill a governor. I never made such a threat. False allegations of stalking. You stated that I stalked an individual named Lindsay. This claim is factually false and a malicious fabrication. False financial disclosures. You stated that I admitted to receiving 25% of proceeds from my likeness. I have never made such an admission. While I respect the right to opinion and commentary, you do not have a license to manufacture false factual claims. To avoid the escalation of this matter into formal proceedings with YouTube and courts, I demand that you take the following actions within 48 hours. Sorry, I am still sick. Remove or edit, permanently remove the video or redact the specific segments containing the inaccuracies listed above. Issue a retraction, publish a clear and conspicuous correction regarding these 3 points on your channel and any other platforms where the content was shared. Evidence clarifying the truth of these matters can be found at the following records. Context of heart eating. Context of Caleb Hammer dispute. So, okay. Notice of preservation. This letter serves as a formal notice to preserve all documents, recordings, and communications related to the production of this video. Which video? You think if you need to list the name of the video specifically. Like, you need to list specifically the video where he defamed you, and then, generally speaking, timestamps would be appropriate at the specific points in time of what he is saying is defamatory. The letter serves as a formal notice to preserve all documents, recordings, and communications related to the production of this video, including internal notes, metadata, and communications with sources. Failure to comply with this demand will leave me no choice but to pursue all available legal remedies, including but not limited to formal platform complaints and a lawsuit for defamation seeking compensatory and punitive damages. I look forward to your prompt compliance. Please confirm via reply once the corrections have been made. Sincerely, Brint Davy. So Brint went on Scott Schaefer's interview, and he said he was drafting a complaint with a litigation attorney, and then he's looking for an attorney to go pro bono, or why can't I remember the term, but they're looking for a lawyer to basically do this for free or with the promise of profit, which is not going to happen for a defamation case. It would happen for like a personal injury, because you can make money from personal injury through settling. You could make income through a lot of a majority of cases never actually reach the point where they go to trial, and a lot of the time they are settled. But I seriously doubt if Brint can't get a lawyer for a much bigger client, Caleb Hammer, where he feels like he is being defamed. I believe Brint, I'm not saying this, but Brint is quoted saying that it is within the top 7 of podcasts on YouTube. It's going to be incredibly difficult to get anybody to sue Papa Gut for compensatory and punitive damages when you haven't even met the bar for what's like what I'm actually like, so I'm stun locked by this. What damages has he done to you that would inversely affect your reputation to the point where you can't do like certain pieces of income? Like you can't obtain, like people aren't willing to talk to you because of Papa Gut specifically. And Papa Gut can literally just say, well, I thought they were real because XYZ. So, all right, so we're going to get into the context of the heart eating. We're going to look at his Brint's Substack. So we'll look at that specifically and see what we can find. Okay. I said I'd eat Governor Abbott's heart, then I went to jail. If that sounds crazy, that's because it literally was. I am. I tried to read this yesterday. I couldn't get through all of it. I'm going to read all of it through today to get the full context of how Brint was saying that this was not him threatening to eat the heart of the governor. I tweeted that I'd eat Governor Greg Abbott's heart in a mind-altered OCD meltdown. Not a moment I'm proud of. Shame is what an award-winning communicator feels after dumping chaotic, low-quality slop into the internet, troubling everyone he knows. I did tweet it, but it's probably not what you think I tweeted or how you think I tweeted it. I can recall this contextual account of my words and arrest because I was there, kind of. Okay, first thing that you're already making me question your statement is you kind of remember it. This is your statement regarding it. How can I fully trust what you're saying when you kind of remember it? That night in 2018, a maelstrom of pleas, laws, and beer swirled in my skull. I made a comment about this in the last video. I don't enjoy the flowery language. I want to know why you did the thing. I want to know what you did specifically, and then I want to know why you did it. What was your mental state at the time? I don't really care for a lot of this flowery language, but I'm going to read through all of it regardless. That night in 2018, a maelstrom of pleas, laws, and beer swirled in my skull, draining into an abyss of despair. I fell in and out of consciousness on a mail-order sofa, chain-smoking cigarettes so fast I had 2 cherries burning at once and another flame on a filter end as an extrapolated hypothetical outcome converging on doom. So you were down on your luck. You were just having a rough time. There you go. It was a full-blown OCD panic attack, a diagnosis at long last received in 2023. Following years of microdoses and the Achilles heel of my professional life, repetitive visions obsessively raced in my mind like a TikTok feed from hell. That night, everything I thought and felt compensatory unleashed on Twitter. I couldn't think. So you had a breakdown. So why didn't you just say, I had a manic breakdown, I had an OCD panic attack, and that's all I did? It felt like I might die if I didn't hit tweet one more time, so it goes with an OCD compulsions. Nobody responded until the next morning. I got a knock, too. In fact, knock, knock. Law enforcement served a warrant, banged on my door with startling authority. They didn't need to identify themselves. I already knew. I was probably going to go to jail. I'd gone too far this time. I jumped out of bed wearing just my boxer briefs without my glasses and stumbled for the door. How will I explain myself while I'm still drunk? I wondered. Cycling through potential defenses and finding none, the odds didn't look good for my near-term freedom. Just be honest, maybe you need to go to jail. I mean, if you really threaten eating the heart of the governor, wouldn't surprise me if you did get jail time. Just a second, let me get my glasses. Stay where I can see you. This cautioned a special investigation DPS officer. Followed me into my home. I'm not a threat to anyone, I assured him. I can barely see. We found glasses behind my nightstand. Offered them to come in, which he placed on my coffee table. I did not assert my right to an attorney. Big mistake. You should always, when speaking to the police, you should either exercise your Fifth Amendment right, or you should exercise your right to an attorney if you are actually in trouble. Even when you're not in trouble, if you're innocent, you should exercise your right to Fifth Amendment and a right to an attorney, especially if you're going to be going to jail, or you think you might be arrested. Were you hacked? The special officer asked. Immediately building, yeah, of course they're going to build a case against you and eliminating potential defense. Okay, that's their job. No, did you even remember the tweets? Yes. What were those tweets? The Texas GOP looks like it's headed for secession. Its leaders won't condemn the idea, and I didn't know what else to do. You just said you're sending a bunch of tweets. I answered in vain, attempting to explain my tweets. You literally just sent a flurry of tweets. So I read this as like, oh, I'm just picking the least bad option that makes me look bad. I served a sizable slice of my media career fighting for gay rights through the courts, in culture, politics. So this is a backstory on everything that Brint has done. And I have a little bit of a contempt for Brint because I don't like this writing style. I really dislike it. And then I really dislike his interview with Scott Schaefer. I think it was really bad. I am actually more upset at Scott Schaefer than Brint, because Brent, I think, genuinely believes everything that he's having. I don't think Scott actually believes Brent. I think Scott is just platforming somebody who will try to take down Caleb Hammer. That's my personal opinion. As a journalist, I had to report on groundbreaking case law, hate rallies held in Texas churches, hate crimes in the streets, discrimination by religious bakers, and hate-filled cakes served with the Texas Capitol building. In Texas, gay rights largely defended on federal civil rights law. We were the second year of Trump's first term. It was clear to me that Trump was catering to the religious right. I could see he packed the courts with strict constructionalists, supremely states' rights. Decisions on abortion, marriage equality were inevitable. What's worse, since the Obergefell v. Hodges decision 2015, which legalized same-sex marriage across the United States, calls for secession within the GOP had grown difficult to ignore. With Texas Trumpists were asking if they would approve secession if Hillary Clinton won the presidential race. A whopping 61% said yes. In 2016, the signal wasn't astroturfed Russian mailing. It was a uniquely Texas problem demanding a Texas solution. Rather than confronting this problem, GOP leaders began triangulating with the damnable stupid idea. Florida transplant Alan West won the party chair and promptly developed support for secession. In 2022, Texas secessionists won formal recognition. The Texas GOP party platform, that's not rhetoric, it's codified agenda. Yes, but how does this relate to your text messages, I believe, in 2018? You're mentioning things from 2022, like, oh, well, because of the stuff that's happening in 2022, suddenly this makes my actions justified in 2018. No, that's not how that works. To a mostly gay guy from West Texas who grew mostly gay. Okay, so you're bi. To a mostly gay guy from West Texas who grew up knowing his. Well, according to Scott Schaefer, Caleb's gay or bi, and he lives in Texas. So, is he also? Should he also be a protected minority? Scott Schaefer is actually doing a disservice for Caleb Hammer. He's outing his sexuality in Texas. He could actually be legitimately at risk. Man, I'm wondering why Brint Davy doesn't actually get on Scott Schaefer's case about that. The optimistic gay slogan, "It gets better," coined in 2010, wasn't certainty. Could easily be reduced to empty platitude. For gay Texans, it was much worse. Though I promptly deleted the tweet screed I spewed into the world on that night, I still vividly remember the contents. I think I hate you. I think I hate you at Governor Abbott. Recalling official response, I will eat your heart. I added, remembering how. Okay. You saying I remembered how he pandered to Alex Jones does not make your quote okay. I will eat your heart. The paranoid delusion that Obama's military would seize Texas. I just checked your tacky and I hate you. So I think I hate you. I will eat your heart. I just checked your tacky and I hate you. Certain in my hate while simultaneously quoting Rock's iconic. Okay, so that doesn't. The context you're giving here isn't better. You're just saying I said said this to make it like, oh, it's a reference to this, but you still had hate in your heart. You still wanted that to probably happen. I'm reading this and I'm not convinced that you didn't want the governor to die. Scarier tweets followed, tweets that I do not like to remember or think about. What were they? Because usually if you say go fuck yourself or like, XYZ, generally speaking, that doesn't actually cause the police to come to your door and arrest you. They were potential outcomes in a hypothetical secession scenario, a world I was convinced Governor Abbott and co. sought. The historical precedent outcomes would be devastating to all. Okay, so you thought that they were potential outcomes to a hypothetical secession scenario, a world I was convinced Governor Abbott and co. sought. So you said that there were secessionists, so you have to kill them. Or you have to eat out his heart. The tweets were not expressive of any personal desire to take of life, as reported by an intern for a local news outlet. Okay, let's look. Okay, so took it down. Dread may be that only word, the correct word to describe my emotions, not that dread is the popular word. Is the Wayback Machine available? I want to look at this news article. All right. I imagine this was probably first published in 2021. Oh, perfect. Man arrested allegedly made threatening tweets at Governor Abbott. So this was posted December 6, 2018. So probably pretty close to when the inciting incident happened. The Texas Department of Public Safety, Texas Department of Safety, recovered several alarming tweets Monday that threatened the life of Governor Greg Abbott. The tweets belong to an account, Brint Crockett. Oh. He tweeted about his hate towards Governor Abbott and him wanting to take the governor's life. The tweets that caught the authorities' attentions were deleted by Crockett from his Twitter account. Due to the severity of the tweets, special officials went to Crockett's residence and conducted a knock and talk. Also, first mistake, if they didn't have a warrant then, if they had a knock and talk, could have just not answered the door. So you basically, if this article is down, but if this article is what they're saying is correct, you could have just ignored. They didn't have a warrant for your arrest. They just had to. You just had to. You didn't have to talk to the police. If you don't want to, motto in life: if you don't need to talk to the police, don't talk to the police. Crockett was interviewed by an official who asked him his reason. Also, because if they have a warrant for your arrest or a warrant for you, they're not going to knock. They're going to come in. I mean, they will knock, but if you don't answer, they will break the door down. But if it's a knock and talk where it's a consensual encounter, you don't need to talk to them. Excuse me. Due to the severity of the tweet, special officials went to Crockett's residence and conducted a knock and talk and to check for Crockett. Crockett was interviewed by officials who asked him his reasons for the tweets. Crockett responded that he felt that the entire Republican Party was attacking him. He said that it is documented in a political statement. Crockett admitted tweeting the string of threats. He also admitted that he deleted some of those tweets this morning because they were a little too much. So even that was too much. Crockett was arrested and taken to Travis County Jail. Okay. Oh, okay. So you need an account in order to do the search. It's unfortunate. This is a .gov website. Well, if it was public record, it is public record if I can search for it, but I don't feel like making an account. So I was curious what the nature of the charges were because he was charged. Spoiler alert, we're going to get into this, but basically he was charged and he had to take a plea deal. Dread may be the only word, the correct word to describe my emotions. Note that dread is polar opposite to desire. There's no excuse for the sloppy tirade. I agree, but it's more accurate. Why? The officers arrested me without incident or objection. I spent one night in solitary cell in Travis County Central Bookings with a phone that did not work. No phone call. The next morning, handcuffed to a still bleeding man who lost a fist fight with his reflection in a bathroom mirror. We boarded a bus for Travis County Correctional Complex on the outskirts of town. I'd be in for a longish day. I had a window seat of the bus and looked at freedom passing me by. Flags half-mast. George W. Bush had just passed away the day before. George W. Bush passed away date. November. So I'd be in for a longer stay. So you got sent for a day. Okay, so the article that we're reading says that you were arrested. Okay, so this would be in November, but it's saying that you made... Okay, so it says that last Monday you made these tweets in the article. So then that means it would have... Okay, so the dates line up. So, be for a longish stay. If Bush would have corrected this, I sighed. No, you're not that. You're not. A President Bush would have corrected this. You're not that important, my man. Like, you're just everyone else. The president doesn't know you. I don't know you. Nobody knows you. I sighed, waves of sadness and fear washing over me. I knew this because I was a journalist. Oh my god. So just because you're a journalist thinks you can't be arrested or like you're above the law. In fact, the first interview I did in high school freshman was a good get, as they say in the business then. Texas Governor George W. Bush. Okay. I sent him a questionnaire by mail with blank spaces for him to fill out his answers. He responded barely legible, pencil scribbled. His communications director attached a note. Governor Bush is a generous public servant. However, his handwriting is not the best. I've taken the liberty to transcribe his answers. A nerdy 15-year-old kid asked Bush for his take on Republic of Texas secessionists. Governor Bush answered simply, I do not support them. It was a statement so simple in its efficacy and fundamentally necessary to good leadership. Yeah, one that Governor Abbott lacked the guts to make when it mattered. That was the core of my despair. I had plenty of time to ruminate. Okay, I spent 4 days in H Block. The H is mental health, locked in with the spectrum of humanity's worst violent offenders, car thieves, even a confessed pedophile awaiting a life sentence in trial. Yeah, but are you saying you're mentally well? You literally just said, hey, I'm finally glad that I got diagnosed with OCD, like the proper OCD diagnosis that I've been trying to get for years. Upon retrospect, that doesn't seem like it's actually that. Just because you're locked up with all these other people who've done violent crimes or done all these crimes. Car thieves is not one of humanity's worst. Violent offenders, depends on the extent of the crime. But, assault and battery, not good crimes. But is it the worst? Yeah, the pedophile, that one is the worst. H Block's phones were broken, and the block was without access to reading materials save for one grisly, ironic addition, a tattered copy of Edgar Allan's Poe, The Telltale Heart. A guard handed it to me, a moment of mockery or gallows generosity. I couldn't tell, as if to make a point even he couldn't grasp. I don't believe that. A guard handed you the only book in the entire facility, and none of the phones worked. I don't believe you. I attempted to read it amidst captive madness, howls and ramblings ricocheted off cinderblock walls at night, walls upon which it sounded like one's inmate was attempting to kill himself by bashing his brains. All this beneath the buzz of flickering fluorescent that was never, ever turned off lest something worse happened in the dark. Days later, an advocate aware of my arrest visited me to help me get out. I finally got my phone call, made bail, and regained my freedom. On the outside, I did what any journalist would do upon seeing an accurate piece about his own arrest. I reached out to them. I explained myself and requested a correction, specifically regarding my intentions and motivation. They stood by the report, telling me they used allegedly in the headline. Let me be clear, I never intended physical harm to government. Yes, but your statements could definitely be interpreted. You could say, well, I never interpreted it that way. I never intended it that way. It can definitely be interpreted that way. I read that statement and you say I sent way worse after that. I think people can definitely interpret your statements that you were attempting to make a threat and harm the governor. Let me be clear. I never intended to physically harm Governor Abbott, much less eat his mostly vital muscle. Besides, Abbott's heart is much too bland, grisly, and unpalpable. So, certainly not USDA approved. If I were a cannibal, his liver would be obviously. Yeah, okay, that reference. My faith in the institution of journalism felt proudly betrayed. Yeah, because it's they said, if they say we're not going to remove it or change it because we're saying alleged, like you were arrested, because the article says he tweeted hate, blogged to hate, his hate towards the governor. The tweets caught the attention of the authorities. Due to the severity of the tweets, special officials went to your residence and conducted a knock and talk. They interviewed by the officials. You admitted that you tweeted the threats, and also admitted that you deleted some of the tweets because they were too much, and then you were arrested. This doesn't seem defamatory or incorrect. So it seems like you're just upset that they're not immediately kowtowing to what you want. You think this makes you look bad, and it does, and you want that gone. That's how I interpret that. You feel betrayed because they didn't immediately kowtow. Excuse me for a second. I know the rule. When things get worse, we issue a correction. We find the hard to find truth and report that truth with the goodest of words one can. Was doing it wrong, and I knew that because I'd done it before on a national level, the final insult to my injury was most troubling. I couldn't find an attorney to represent me in libel complaint. Okay, so you're looking for someone to represent you for libel, slander in 2018. So when was this Substack published? December. Okay, so you're looking for someone. I guess it would be 2019 because it was in December, roughly. So it potentially could. So you're looking for someone for a lawsuit in 2019, and you can't find anyone there, and nobody knows who you are. You're a very small individual. You're within your own local atmosphere in Texas. Nobody knows who you are. You can't find anyone there. You have a much bigger individual that you think is defaming you, i.e. Caleb Hammer. And you've been prepping this for a while and you still can't find anybody. I don't think you got a shot. Nobody would defend my latent cannibalism. Nobody except allies in Austin's gay bars who offered to make heart eating a free speech slogan. Don't do it. They'll arrest you too. I warned. My lesson, hard one in jail, was too fresh, and I wouldn't wish that fallout on anyone. I was charged with terroristic threats, and my electronic devices were seized for a year. The state drew out my prosecution, and I understood the process as a punishment. I believe that, yes, because unless you take a plea deal or settle, the process is a punishment, especially for normal people like us. It sucks. I really wish there was some judicial reform, but the state has infinite money that they can throw at a problem, and we don't. It sucks, but it's just how it is currently. I believe they knew they'd lose an Austin jury trial on free speech grounds, as 3 days before my trial, I was offered a favorable deal. I pled to a lesser charge, agreeing to 30 hours of community service and 1 year probation, with a clean and sealed record possibly 2 years later. I regularly picked up trash while hiking Austin's nature parks anyway, so I took it. Okay. So I have to work with lawyers semi-regularly. I have to work with attorneys and clerks. The reason why they may have offered you a plea deal is not because the case wasn't strong. It's because trials take time. They have to follow due process. They have to get a jury involved if it's a jury trial, or the judge has a lot of cases on their plate. And if you're willing to take a plea deal, your case just goes off. Like, they don't have to worry about you and they can focus on other cases. Plea deals, are settlements and plea deals are often the results of cases. So this isn't an indication that you would win. It's more likely that the court didn't have time to deal with you. That's how I'm interpreting it. I think it's more likely that the court didn't have time to deal with you rather than you would win or they would lose. Part of me regrets choosing that route most traveled today. I missed my chance at a personal absolution. Still, I don't want to act. Yes, but you also have to consider if you got convicted, the punishment would have been worse and you wouldn't have that personal absolution. So yeah, it's easier to take the plea deal because you yourself at that time took it. You could have fought it out. You could have stuck it out. You could have had an attorney provided by the state for you because it's a criminal charge levied by the state. It's not a civil litigation. So you could have fought it. It probably wouldn't have cost you very much money if you didn't have the funds. But I'm interpreting that as you probably were scared and you didn't want to fight it and you just want to get it over with and you thought you might lose. Still, I don't want activists taking risky and unnecessary actions in the name of progress. It only hurts the cause by sidelining the most effective self. The good news is that risks aren't necessary. Aspiring young leaders will find civic and media levers plenty to pull, but they still pull them carefully. One wrong move can be costly to your career and credibility. Not wrong. Hamstringing you in the larger fight. Rhetorically active fallout has the half-life of a lifetime. My mind and reputation still remain in recovery. Jail is scary. Being labeled a terrorist by the state of Texas and a local news outlet is scarier. Attempting to regain my credibility, I found many people automatically hate me. Others unreasonably feared me, and old friends in legal circles confessed to worrying about their association with me. This is it is a horrible statement to make. This sentence right here is a terrible, terrible, terrible statement to make if you are alleging that the reason why you have a damaged reputation is because of Caleb Hammer. If you knew you had a damaged reputation before you met Caleb Hammer, after you were arrested, after you went to jail, after you took a plea deal, you were going to have such a difficult time proving that the reason why you have a negative reputation, that Caleb's actions specifically damaged your reputation and caused you problems, you're gonna have trouble attributing him to that when you recognize that in the past you already had this problem. In legal circles, until recently, I sought relief in bottomless brown barrels. Hell yeah, man. I know a lot of people who have struggled with alcoholism, or substance abuse. So I'm glad you're making progress. I may not necessarily agree with what you're doing, but I think I agree with trying to overcome that. Since the night of my heart-eating arrest, I cannot count how many times I have encouraged activist online groups to revive the lost art of substantial disciplined protests. I urge them not to street skirmish, antagonize officers, attack buildings, deface art, block traffic, harass public figures, or the White House. After all, you never know if or when someone will change their mind. Yeah, you should. I mean, if you're protesting, you should definitely not be violent. You can say things vocally. You should not do vandalism. You should not be violent. You should not commit arson. You shouldn't block traffic. Yes, these are all things that, I can agree with, and I would hope most people would. After all, oh yeah, and don't ransack the U.S. Capitol building on the transition of January 6, 2021. Yes, but how does this relate to what you said was not you threatening the governor? I'm not going to talk about that. In these polarizing times, I have severely prayed to God, to whom I scarcely believe in that activists from both wings choose to guide our political process rather than destroy it, cultivate positive dialogue instead of... Okay. They've made a moderate out of me. Okay. In light of the story, XN's current news director, Haley Chihak, removed the flawed 2018 report of my arrest from their platforms and assured me the concerns that would be handled differently in their newsroom today. And as we recently reviewed the Wayback Machine, this is a very mild argument. This is a very mild article. I don't see how this is defamatory. And based on the Substack, they just said that they didn't give a reason. They might have just removed it because it's an old article from 2018. You asked, and they moved on. So, okay, so next part, we are going to be looking at the context of Caleb Hammer's dispute. It's got to end. Brint, happy upload day. I am 16 minutes in and loving this. You're lightning in a bottle. So grateful for you and getting to work together and making this epic episode. In terms of chat on Reddit, we're all off this week for the holiday, but if you give me time, I am happy to log in and attempt to moderate Lindsay. So Lindsay, I believe, is the casting director for Caleb Hammer. Caleb Hammer and his team allege that Brint had stalked Lindsay. I have not seen any evidence of that, so I'm assuming that is not true until I see evidence of that. But this is Brint's retort to the stalking allegations. This is legit scary. We went through his emails more in the post show, and we found out that he had stalked our casting producer, Lindsay, the day she got hired, which was not public info. This is legit fucked up. Watch here. We tried to watch it. It's a members only post show. Conversation where they go through it, but I don't have access to it. I'm not a paid member of the Caleb Hammer channel. I've actually only seen 2 of Caleb Hammer's videos. I've seen the first one with Brint, and then I've seen his Boogie 2988 interview, and those are the only 2 pieces of content that I have seen of Caleb Hammer. I've heard of Caleb Hammer, but I've not seen more of his content beyond that. So, on the same day Lindsay sends me a thank you email, Caleb Hammer Media defames me as a scary stalker of a woman in the industry and for what to sell Hammer Elite subs. I never sent him death threats. I never stalked Lindsay. I don't remember how I knew Lindsay was the new casting director. you don't know someone is a casting director before you meet them, but you know. So you've never met this person. You've never met this person, and then you know them by name, and then you know that they're the casting director. Okay, I know this is your statement to absolve you, but the sentence doesn't make you look good. But it certainly wasn't stalking. Okay, so you could just be like, hey, I looked her up. But Caleb is asserting, well, I don't have any information on that. So, but Caleb and his team is asserting that that was not public information at the time because Lindsay was new. Most likely industry gossip. It's a small world. There is no industry gossip. You're not in the industry. You're not e-famous. You're not a celebrity. People only know you. The public online space only knows you for Caleb Hammer. Or a leak inbound to me by someone in Hammer Media. Do you have evidence of that? Do you have evidence that someone leaked that to you? Most likely gossip or a leak. What? Okay. I did relay to Hammer Media that I was getting scary messages from someone saying you're going to die tonight. Go to the police. If someone's threatening you, go to the police. I didn't know if they were talking about me or Hammer. I did relay in a very real OCD panic that I'm getting messages from his fans doxing, stalking, and threatening me. Go to the police. Caleb Hammer can't do anything about that. He can say, hey guys, don't harass my guests. Don't go talk to them. Don't touch the poo. But there's going to be people that don't listen to Caleb Hammer and just want to fuck with people. And Caleb can't do anything about that. He's not responsible for every single person in his audience. There's going to be a couple of insane freaks in there. What's sad is I really enjoyed working with Lindsay till the episode dropped with the stalker framing. Hammer Media's characterizing me as stalking her was the final defamatory straw, and he said, sue me. So is that really what he wants? Half of me, if you sue Caleb Hammer, I guarantee you he's going to make a shit ton of content out of this, and he's going to make a ton of money. Half of me thinks Caleb wants to sue him like it's a test and all part of the show, because he's making it really easy with this stalking Lindsay stuff, but that's also the cycle of fraudulently induced drama. The show sucks you back in. A casting director will assure you that you'll have a positive story arc. It's a joke and a good theatrical spirit. Your reputation will be restored. The FA audience will stop harassing you. Then Caleb Hammer springs critical defamation on you again, and you have to return to the show for a personal... No, you don't. You don't. People, the internet's... How should I say this? Thought process, memory. The internet's memory is short. Drama's memory is short. If you keep igniting the drama, if you keep going in and talking, you're going to keep exposing yourself to it rather than just, if you went on your show 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, and you just got paid and you didn't talk to them again, I don't think anybody would care about you. I don't think anyone would talk to you. Like, I don't think anyone would talk about you. But you keep putting yourself out there. It's been 3 years of this cycle. It's hell. But you went 3 times on the show. It's hell. The defamation borders on incitement and results in real-world acts of targeting, vandalism, stalking, threats of violence. I am legally speaking the victim. You are not legally speaking the victim. That has not been confirmed in the court of law. And if it has, I would like to see that. That's what it's called, and I'm not playing that. No shame in it either. From my first episode that we staged and filmed in Hammer's apartment before he was famous, Caleb Hammer has made money defaming me, even though I'm playing an exaggerated caricature of myself, playing up adversarial conflict in bits as one is cast to do in these reality TV shows. He defames that character. Then there should be no problem. If he's defaming a caricature of you, you can't sue for defamation of that, because it's like, if people hate an actor, and people shouldn't hate actors for the role that they play. It sucks that it happens, but, you know, Joffrey from Game of Thrones, everyone harassed that actor. He was a great actor. He played excellent at Joffrey, but people would say shit about the character and attribute that to the actor. That's not defamation. Like, it's not. It sucks, but it's not defamation. No actor has ever... I mean, I'm sure there's actors that would have liked to, but I can... If you can show me some actors who have won defamation cases similar to that, I would be pleasantly surprised. I specifically said within probably the last 30 years. If you can prove it, if you can get it within the last 30 years, I will take that back. For my first episode that we staged and filmed in Hammer's apartment before he was, we read that. I specifically said I take a job beneath what I'm expecting and what I can do. Said I drive Uber Eats, and heck, I did. That wasn't scandalous enough for Caleb Hammer, who headlined the episode I refused to get a job. Excuse me. The headline cannot be defended as opinion or theatrical fun. It was a critically damaging and defamatory headline. On the facts, that's how this whole mess started. Wish I'd never taken the gig. Wish I'd never seen that paid casting call. Wish I'd never met him. But you went 2 times after that. With these predation sex confirmed, I've had it with these more disgusted than ever. I am a survivor of child sexual abuse. I knew the group chats, texts were out there, and people do reach out to me. Didn't know if they were true or how to confirm them. Now we know Caleb is a psychopath and a predator, and we know Caleb thinks it's all okay because it's a joke to him. Predatory pattern of behavior fits. I've had it with this. I'm angry. So are you saying you were SA'd? Or are you just upset that you're upset that you think that Caleb is a predator? I think it's probably the latter. I must find a litigator who will work on a defamation case on contingency or pro bono basis. If I must raise funds, I'll raise funds. It's my life, and I have to take it back. I have no choice. You are not going to find a litigator to take on contingency or pro bono for a liable slander defamation case. It's just not going to happen. The bar is so high, and there is no guarantee of actual income for the lawyer. So you pretty much have to pay out of pocket, and the damages that you're going to get are probably, well, okay, I don't know, Texas law, maybe the punitive and, the damages portion of the lawsuit could be enough to justify it, but most defamation cases, you end up spending more money than you actually get in return on investment. I know the Billy Mitchell, Carl Jobs lawsuit, both parties basically went to trial. Carl Jobs got completely destroyed. Billy Mitchell, I believe, won the maximum amount of damages, and he still lost, I believe, $200,000. So nobody's going to win except the lawyers. Let's look at some of the comments. Hey, Brent, hope you find necessary help and people in your life to help you out. Please, please, please remove yourself from Caleb. Yep, that's exactly what I'm saying. He keeps getting involved. This was a month ago. Caleb is a greedy clout-chasing fat POS, and it sucks. He keeps trying to squeeze every penny he can out of you. This, you got to look out for yourself first. Hi, Brent. I'm sorry you're deeply impacted by Hammer Media and their lies. May I ask what went back on his show again? Yeah, money. The expectation of money, most likely. This isn't healthy. Money, and to prove his character isn't as bad as he says in this post. I can maybe get the idea of going a second time. Okay, first time you come on. You don't know what the show's about. You do the show. You feel like you get defamed. Part 2 is going to be like a redemption angle. So you go from that angle. You try to improve or prove your character. And, it isn't successful. It's just as bad as before. And then you come on a third time. You come on for a third time after the last 2 were completely awful based on your Scott Schaefer interview. The first one, bad. Second one, even worse than before. Third one, you wanted to go on again to do the same thing that you tried to do in the second interview to redeem yourself. Personally, I think that's not really believable. I think you went on because you wanted money. I think you wanted on because you don't like Caleb Hammer, but you really like money. It's a paid gig. I need the money, and I do love performing. Ding, 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 ding. I'm a trained actor and musician. Both times when I'm back on, casting director assured it would be a redemptive impression with a positive arc. Get in your contract next time. Each time I've been defamed again. Thanks for explaining. If you're acting, it's not defamation because by your own definition, it's not a representative of you nor intended to be. You can't keep signing contracts and then keep expecting to get paid for things that have protected themselves against. You don't have it, my guy. You need to accept, you need to put in actual labor work to get paid from a job for something else. It's lazy to keep seeking a legal payday you're not owed. Your sense of entitlement has been the flaw from day one. That's not an act. I completely agree. And this is the creepy Caleb, snark subreddit. These people don't like Caleb Hammer. And they They don't like Caleb. They want Caleb to fail. And they're pushing back against Brint. It's reality TV. Your act playing up the drama as yourself. Thank you for providing further proof of defamatory damages. How's this damaging? You need monetary damages because you're a public figure. You need proof that you were financially impacted. When have you ever seen someone on a show look anything but incompetent? That's a good point. So then Sue, he said he's looking into it. So in the OP, yeah, I know. Definitely wish I had rid the wall of nothingness. Fuck Caleb, I'll never victim blame. But if you're going to go back there after I already got trashed, yeah. Caleb is a crappy human being, crappy financial support. The reality is your issues are beyond needing to be shouted at by an angry man-child who feels powerful and better than you. Don't return to his show again. He makes an open mockery of you, even if you're genuinely trying to be good on his good side, because your content for him at the end of the day, he doesn't do anything special regarding financial support. A decent friend could go through your spending and set a budget with you. Most people just don't have that decent friend. Regarding death threats, etc., the first logical step, yes, go to the police. That's how you start getting justice and decrease, as long as you keep providing evidence that and you won't have to deal with potential further debt. Start therapy and contact a debt charity support line. I committed myself to a residential partial hospitalization recovery center intensive OCD treatment plan last July. That's awesome, man. I'm glad you're doing that. When the most recent episode was filmed, I was still in intensive outpatient care for OCD and addiction, alcohol abuse, intermittent binge drinking. To this day, I'm living in profoundly managed recovery center sober home. I've been going to therapy for 20 years. I'm really happy for you, man. I'm glad that you're recovering from that. Hey, Brent, just so you know, there's a lot of us on your side and think Caleb is a huge piece of shit. I'm rooting for you. All I want is the best for you. I'm sure many fans and ex-fans would agree. I hope your life keeps going for you. I'm sorry about Caleb, Hammer's team. Can you just, like, not stop going on the show and stop communicating with him instead of locking him into your life with years for lawyers, just so you know, move on? Yeah, if you go to defamation, it's going to be like 2 years of litigation if you go to trial. Caleb, I know you said in your interview with Scott Schaefer that he's going to want to settle. No, I think Caleb is going to want to bleed you dry. Like, it'll cost him, what, $200,000? I think he's a multimillionaire. He'll just write it off as a tax expense. That's not possible. Why? Because of millions of people. Can you elaborate? Millions of people what? Think of it a little. I know it's probably hard to imagine. Defamatory damage this severe and such massive scale doesn't go away. You can't just walk away and be fine like it never happened. But based on your Substack, you had a negative reputation even before going on the show. So how can you necessarily attribute that to Caleb Hammer? Examples. Every job I applied to believes in I'm willing to work are lazy. The defamatory angle from Caleb Hammer. Did they tell you that they won't... they tell you that they aren't willing to hire you based on what you did on Caleb Hammer? Many are afraid of me because they think I'm difficult to work with. The defamatory impression of financial audit. No, I think they're afraid of you because you have a history of being arrested by the police and making a statement that you would eat the Governor Abbott's heart, the acting governor of Texas. People think I'm a loser. I can't buy shoes at Ross Dress for Less without being taunted by teenagers asking, "You sure you can afford that?" I play along because I'm a chummy guy. Not really, but I like the shoes. I need the shoes. So, how can you attribute that to Caleb Hammer? Teenagers say random shit all the time. You know, I live near a high school. People will come over and teenagers will just yell at me while I'm taking a walk across the side of the car. They'll say a bunch of uncalled for stuff, but they're teenagers. You can't necessarily attribute them to them. You can't attribute that they know they watch the Caleb Hammer show. My car was targeted in a hit and run to the tune of $7,000 in damages, and the perps attempted to use financial audit to impugn my credibility, fraudulently claiming I'd backed into them. I don't have any evidence of that, and honestly, well, I don't know. I'm not willing to say anything in that regard. A few months ago, I got an Airbnb and a little old lady refused me because she was afraid. Kind of broke my heart. Okay, well, you can't attribute that to financial audit because why would she be afraid of watching you on financial audit when she could be afraid. She could be an old lady that watches the news and sees that you're a guy who threatened to eat out the heart of Governor Abbott. Many other stories, walking away and pretending it never happened is not an option, make more sense now. I've been recognized too since my episode. It's humiliating. For a while I thought I'd get my shit together and go back and show everyone that they were wrong about me. Luckily, I've come to my senses and realized that I'm never going to come out on top when it comes to Caleb. You need to let go. Eventually, everything will fizz out, but each time you engage with him, it stirs it back up again. The little roach will always put pure lies in the description to bait people into subbing into the post show. I'm reluctant to admit I did it twice just to find the post show. Not all that described and quite boring most times. It's what caused me to rethink and eventually find this place. Not surprised he's done it again by lying about stalking in the post show. Honestly, both you and everyone in Caleb's team involved in your drama just need to withdraw completely. Brent, I admit that I only know the version of you that Caleb and his team chose to show, but your posts here, while welcome, aren't doing a ton to help your cases, both legally and public image. Any lawyer in the world will tell you to stop posting if you're yes, you are posting your legal strategy. You're posting what you're going to be talking about and what angles you are wanting to do the defamation angle from, which is if you go to trial, you're going to give ammo to Caleb's defense. Any lawyer, nope, need to raise awareness, find a litigator. That's the plan. Sorry, people find attorneys every day. That's not what the process looks like. It seems like you're hoping attorneys find you, not the other way around. Okay. So that's the evidence that he posted clarifying, you know, what he's saying is not what Papa Gut is saying is defamatory. So let's take a look into Papa Gut's video regarding Caleb Hammer. I thought I had this ready, but I guess I do not.
Do you feel like you were portrayed fairly?
The emotion that I'm displaying is caricature and acting.
If this guy's willing to play it up for Caleb, don't you think he's going to play it up for Scott as well?
He headlines it in title, Man Refuses.
See, this is the problem I have with the document, because I can't review specific subsections of Papa Gut's video, and I don't even know if this is the right video. I assume it is, but this is why I think he can't even get a lawyer to find his case. So I'm pretty sure either Brint wrote this himself or he had ChatGPT do it for him. So if I was Papa Gut, I just wouldn't even respond. I wouldn't even give Brint the time of day. I just ignore this because I seriously doubt any type of lawsuit is coming whatsoever. But we'll try to go through Papa Gut's video, see if we can find the defamatory claims specifically.
Caleb's probably most deranged guest ever. I actually have a video on it here. That's not it. It's this one. Caleb Hammer's most unhinged financial audit guest returns. So I don't know. I might have another one. I can't find it. It doesn't matter. You want to take a look at it? Take a look. I think I actually watched both videos in here.
Yeah, because he could be talking. Brent could be talking about that previous video. Could be talking about this video.
And then I think Caleb might actually... Oh, yeah, he gives me access to an after show. Yeah, he gives me access to an after show that he said I could like take a look at, and I put it in the video. So this one's fun. For anybody that wants to check out the lore, because you guys know I'm friends with Caleb Hammer. We're friends with Caleb Hammer because of Scott Schaefer. Because Scott made such a dog shit hit piece on Caleb like a year ago.
Okay, so I don't need the context where...
Greg Starr, dude.
This is an hour-long video. I'm not going to be able to find the exact points of where the quote-unquote defamation occurs because it's not posted in the document. But I'm going to look at Papa Gut's video off-stream and see if I can find the content specifically that that Brint is talking about, and see if I can talk about it for a later stream. But for the time being, Papa Gut has been served with a cease and desist. This was yesterday on January 6th, 2026. So Papa Gut's got 48 hours to respond, and if he doesn't, then he is going to potentially be sued for or served with a lawsuit for defamation, and he can expect to pay Brint. He can expect to pay Brent punitive damages for harming Brent's reputation. Spoiler alert, or hot take, not a hot take, lukewarm, ice cold take. This lawsuit is not happening. Brent is having trouble finding a litigator for a much larger channel with a dubious past, a dubious set of defamation claims. Even people that don't like Caleb, that want to see Caleb fall, don't necessarily believe Brent. A good portion of them don't. Scott Schaefer platformed this man and is gassing him up and is trying to make him feel like he's on top of the world, when honestly, he's probably going to keep stepping on rakes on his way to file, quote unquote, a lawsuit. I'm pretty sure Brent isn't going to file any type of lawsuit. I don't think he can find anybody to take this case. If he opens up a GoFundMe, I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I'm pretty sure most rational people can look at Brent and his evidence. I don't know anything about the stalking. That could be 100% wrong. I don't know. But the threat, the death threat, I can, based on his Substack that he publicly posts, I can interpret that as he was threatening the governor of Texas. I believe that he was. He can say, no, this is what I intended to do, but I can definitely interpret it as a threat. So, and the police and the government took it as a threat too. They did enough to arrest him and put him on trial set a year from the incident, because he said he had his devices taken for a year. All right, folks. So that's going to be it for me. I'm going to post the VOD later for this, and I'm going to look into Papa Gut's video and see if I can find the specific points in time where the defamation has occurred. And we'll see if we get any more traction on this. If not, I might cover iDubbbz. I might cover any of the ongoing drama that's currently happening in the commentary space. So we'll see what happens there. Hope you all have a wonderful night.